Black Mirror is an English television show created by Charlie Brooker. It originally aired on Channel 4 but was bought by Netflix and distributed globally. Nosedive is the first episode of the third season and is directed by Joe Wright. The show was created as a means of holding up a mirror to our current dependence on technology. The black mirror itself being the reflection of your phone, computer, or television screen. Nosedive specifically deals with our obsession with social media and internet fame and status. People who watch this show watch it for its science fiction elements and themes, or whom enjoy media that analyzes culture. Others who watch the show can be interested in the future of technology. And yes, some watch it simply because it's a popular Netflix show.
In this episode, people rate each other's posts and photos, and that is converted into a credit score determined by how many people give you 5 stars and how big your social circle is. Not only do these points determine what kind of house you can apply for, but also determines how people interact with you. This makes interaction between people less genuine and forces them to engage with others they might not like, just to get a good rating from people. Basically, anyone who is above a 4.0 score is considered high class, and people less than that are seen as people you want to avoid. It has gotten to a point where these numbers are as satisfying as watching yourself lose weight on a scale. Lacey is so happy that she broke the 4.2 rating score. By trying to please everyone around Lacey, she loses sight of who she is, and everything she does is to boost her rating. The first social media that pops up in mind when watching this show is Instagram. When people go on Instagram, they mostly just keep scrolling down and liking every picture they see. The society we see in Black Mirror is actually not that far off from our own. The title of Black Mirror is a direct reference to the dim, cracked screen. This is also ironic how the show is only on Netflix. There really isn't any broadcasting channels for Netflix, so the only way to watch Black Mirror would be either on your computer or handheld device. This makes this show all the more scary knowing that this future is not too far off from our own. Quoting Smith, what difference does the definition of a medium make? One important reason is our society makes rules about media, or rather we make regulations based on discussions of what we imagine those media to be. Social media has changed the way people view society in general. Social media such as Instagram allows youth to share pictures among each other, establishing what is considered the norm amongst these youth. Social media such as Instagram removes the awkward transition between preteen and teen by dictating what is the social norm and what isn't. In Nosedive, society tells us we need to have a high rating to live a content life. But as we can see, Lacey is more stressed trying to please everyone than to make herself happy. I feel like this is one of the most important scenes of the show.
Look, you had something with your life, real things, good things, and you lost it all, and I'm sorry. So now you've got nothing left to lose, but I don't even have the something worth losing, not yet, you know? I mean, I'm still fighting for that.
And what is that?
I don't know, enough to be content. Like, to look around and think, well, I guess I'm okay. Just to be able to breathe out, not feeling like just... And that is way off, like, way off. And until I get there, I have to play the numbers game. You know, we all do. That's what we're in. That's how the fucking world works. Look, maybe you don't remember. You know, you're just too old to get it.
Lacey thinks that getting a high rating is how she can be content with her life. People are obsessed with likes on their social media, and to Lacey, the number game is just something she has to participate in, when actually it isn't. This can be seen by popular YouTube channels who have been making YouTube videos for a year. Some of them first made content off of what they wanted. Eventually, they forced a smile and catered to their fans, and left little room for them to have their own creativity. This led to their content being less entertaining and not as enjoyable for the viewers to watch. Eventually, they went back to doing what it is they wanted to do, and you could see the difference in their videos.
The style of the episode is a dystopia of uncertainty. Dystopias like in the book 1984 or the film Mad Max often feature society beyond recognition. You don't need a narrator to say, "in a world," to know that something in Nosedive is off. But it is not obvious what is wrong or why the characters are behaving the way they are. The characters themselves are recognizable, but are impelled to participate in a seemingly global game. In the scene shown previously, Lacey shows how she is upset with how society treated her in her time of need. Yet she still critiques Susan for doing something similar and goes through with the wedding speech scheme. This frustration with a complex bureaucratic system, coupled with an ego that serves the system, is a situation characteristic of the writings of Franz Kafka, otherwise described as being Kafkaesque. Though Nick Dyer Witherford and Greg Depote write about video games in their text Games of Empire, the comparison can be made with regard to the point system in Nosedive. One could consider the work Lacey puts into earning a high ranking as immaterial labor. Immaterial labor is any work that creates immaterial products, such as knowledge, information, communication, a relationship, or an emotional response. That emotional response is easy to see given how everyone feigns positivity to ascend the social hierarchy.
The experience for the viewer is structured around versatility. Since this is a Netflix show, anyone can watch it anywhere so long as they have the app. It's possible to even download shows to be watched later without the need for Wi-Fi. And since Netflix plays episodes back-to-back without commercials, the ability to binge becomes the norm. This leads to a total immersion within the show as viewers stay engaged in each episode. Now, in this particular episode, the nature of social media controlling our lives is already a current trend, so it's easier to stay absorbed within the plot. The futuristic nature of the world, tied with present-day occurrences and dependence on phones, connects the characters with the viewers. After watching any episode of Black Mirror, most people feel an immediate wariness of our society's constant use and abuse of technology. This episode is specifically geared towards the harm that social media can do when people's lives revolve around it. Seeing Lacey's character slowly spiral out as her life is destroyed each time her social media score goes down makes you wonder just how important your Instagram or Twitter account really is. It's only in the final moments of the episode that the message is made clear. The amount of likes you receive on a photo doesn't determine your worth, and you can't base your life on making it seem perfect to others. It's also interesting to note that while the social media feed itself is shown through a contact lens in the eye and is able to take photos, the physical phone still exists. Why is this? Maybe it's a way of showcasing how people interact with technology and a way to say, stop being on your phone so much. As Ariella Azule states in What is Photography, one of the most obvious of these effects is a camera's ability to create a commotion in an environment merely by being there. The camera can draw certain happenings to itself as if with a magnet, or even bring them into being, while it can also distant events, disrupt them, or prevent them from occurring. This commotion that cameras create is a critique that Nosedive is based on. Being surrounded by phones and constantly taking photos with them creates a false society by influencing how everyone interacts with the world. Instead of actually enjoying something, take Lacey sitting down to a coffee in the morning, we're forced to make a display of ourselves, as Lacey finds her drink disgusting but captions the photo as if it's delicious. And as Azule states, it also disrupts the lives of others around you. Everyone in Nosedive is expected to take photos of their surroundings, so everyone else has to act as if they're always on camera. Now, whether the main reason for this episode is simply a form of entertainment or an actual warning for the future is up for debate. Marianne Duan states that television fills time by ensuring that something happens. It organizes itself around the event. Some may see this as any other episode of Black Mirror meant to simply shock viewers with disturbing imagery or startling twists. Perhaps a show to binge when you're bored that you don't have to pay too much attention to because there's no ongoing story. Each episode exists on its own. Others could go deeper and view the context of this episode, like other episodes, as forewarning for what is to come, a glimpse of our futures if we continue to rely so heavily on our phones and our internet personas. Black Mirror has been described as telling stories that can take place 20 years from now or 20 minutes from now. So saying Nosedive is a warning of our fates or a lesson of what society has already become is up to the viewer. The message of Nosedive, as stated previously, is that we are glued to our devices and that we base our lives off of social media. Black Mirror wouldn't exist without messages like this. The show is built around our culture today. Yet Nosedive also warns us about how society can change for the worse if we don't step away from our devices and our internet personas. Guy Debord states, "The spectacle is not a collection of images, it is a social relation between people that is mediated by images." Which is to say that what we see on television influences us just as much as we influence what occurs on television. Nosedive demonstrates the functionality of phones and social media as a way of making our lives seemingly better by creating a class system around social ratings. It also shows the ability for feeds worn as eye lenses to easier scroll through our social media accounts so we aren't constantly staring at a phone screen, as well as holograms and chargeable battery-operated cars with gas engine cars becoming obsolete. However, Nosedive exists to show the negative aspects of these technologies and show our addictions towards social media. This connects to the political nature of media that we studied in class, and that Nosedive can easily shape our views on tech culture. Karl Marx states, "The bourgeoisie cannot exist without constantly revolutionizing the instruments of production, and thereby the relations of production, and with them the whole relations of society." But Nosedive works to try and stop this constant progression, and say that if we let it continue, it will eventually consume us. It's true that one might consider advanced social media, phones, and cars as beneficial to society, but without the knowledge that these technologies should never be able to control us, we will fall into the same pit that Lacey does.